starring actual real brothers Jason Spivey and his little brother Brandon.
All right, welcome back, guys. We are here inside the lab. It is week 10. We are 5 weeks away from, calling it playoff time, huh?
Playoffs. We still got a long way to get there, though.
That's right. There's going to be a lot of positions. We got some key matchups coming up starting this week, which we'll kind of break down as we get into things. Some real exciting stuff happening, and we're going to have some changes to the show we're going to start incorporating. So stick around, guys. This will be a fun little start. Other than that, obviously we like to start these shows with a little something outside of the realm of our fantasy league specifically. And, we kind of varied in what we talked about over the course of the season so far. I kind of feel like we're getting kind of down to the nitty gritty on things to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, obviously NFL teams are who they are now. There's no, is this team a pretender or a contender? You kind of know who's who in the league. Obviously, each week there's a lot of big splashes on injuries. Guys coming back from injuries each week, still working in bye weeks. A lot of things going on. So
Yeah, so if you don't mind, actually, before we kind of kick off the show in normal style here, as a Chicago Bears fan, I think our group is pretty much split.
yeah,
You're either a Colts fan or a Bears fan,
unless you're Dan, then you just root for whoever's winning.
probably. But my question is the Sauce Gardner trade. Go Colts! The Sauce Gardner trade. What do you think about that as a like third party kind of
Well,
thing?
I tell you, it tells your team that you're all in on winning right now. Not just this year but this year or next. That's one of those moves that kind of takes the locker room and says, "All right, we're for real now."
Yeah,
Obviously, you spend a lot on him, and he's going to cost a lot of money. When that comes in, we got to cash that check on the backside. I don't know what they're going to do there, but when that secondary should be number one in the NFL.
I mean the way Kenny Moore's been playing.
And the thing that I like about it is I think it makes that defensive line so much better. Now they're almost getting there a lot of the times. Half a second longer, now they can get there.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
I think.
Do you think they overpaid?
I do think they've overpaid a little bit, but you got to do it to win in this league. I mean,
So does it make, in your opinion, does it matter to you that it's probably going to shake out to where those 2 first-round picks that the Colts have shipped over to New York are going to end up being late-round first-round picks? Does that make a difference to you on?
well,
any of those?
no, that really don't make a big. I mean, you got to figure the top 50 guys or players in the NFL for the most part.
Yeah.
And I think it really just says, hey, we figured out who our quarterback is. Which that's a lot of teams can't do that.
That's been the last 5 years here.
And then B, it kind of gives you that, hey, we're going all in
Right now.
I think now 3-4 years they're going to have to hit that rebuild.
They got a lot of good
money
players
that's
they're
sitting out there.
Yeah.
Not to mention they're going to have to pay that quarterback eventually. They're going
Right.
to keep him because I think he's on a budget right now. So
Yeah, a lot to think about.
a lot going on there. I think it's an exciting time for Indy, obviously, because that's the first time that they've actually went and swung for the fences on.
Man, what a way to wash out a bad loss out of your mouth real fast,
Yeah. Everybody's talking about this.
Right. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about that, kind of get your little input as a person who's not really a Colts fan. I know you like the Colts, don't get me wrong, but I know you're tried and true to the Bears, so I just kind of wanted to get your opinion on that. Other than that, if you guys stick around here, we'll kind of dive back in and do a little reset. Got some new things coming up for you guys. Hopefully you'll like it. I think we're going to take a little bit of some new directions with the show. We're still going to be, we're still going to do the fantasy and everything that you guys have come to know and love. But we do want to kind of incorporate some new segments and ideas that we're kicking around, some things that we might even be able to incorporate after the football season, because we'd like to be able to turn this into a podcast or some sort of something that we can continue on with.
Right.
So,
Yeah, kind of can roll with it. So I'll actually go on that. If you got some ideas too, throw them our way. Like when we did this in the show earlier in the year, let us know that so we can bring some of those things back.
yeah, I mean, I do like to try to cater towards what you people want to watch. So I noticed that a lot of people like to watch the ranking or the picks when we do the picks. So we just try to spend more time, obviously, including the guests in those to help cater to you guys. So yeah, if you got something you like, feel free to reach out to us. Let us know. If you got something you want to see that we're leaving out, let us know. Obviously, we're growing something here, and sky's the limit. So we'll be right back. We'll dive into our fantasy football league.
All right, welcome back. I think we're going to get into a little standings overview here real quick. My division there, I still kind of hold the lead right now just via the tiebreakers, getting tighter and tighter. Not to mention some of the other guys in the division kind of creeping up the board a little bit.
Some of those bottom end teams are starting to get a little bit better here later in the
Yeah.
season. There's no easy wins.
Over in your division, Warden's kind of got a little bit of control over it right now. I know you guys are a bad one over there.
Gosh, I'm trying to just stay within a game or two as long as I can.
And then it seems like the only guy with a little breathing room right now is Braden. I know Ball. He's got a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, but he's got a tough upcoming schedule. So I've talked about why I'm worried about him, and it's good stuff. I don't really need to spend too much time on it right now because it's going to happen in the upcoming weeks. So.
Right. But yeah, still a lot going on there. The other thing is, we got 2 weeks outside of the division, and then we're back in those divisions grinding it out with 5 weeks to go. So
Yeah, I mean, to me, the 5-3 teams, those are the teams I think that these are the wins you really need to be picking up because these are going to be the guys you're fighting with that tiebreaker. So if it's a non-division opponent, that's why I talk about Drew in this crucial stretch knocking these wins out. It's going to be
because your tiebreaker is going to be the guy in the other division, and that head-to-head is going to be
it'll wipe out everything else. Yeah, so that's a very important. And I talked about it with Twin Bowers specifically because he sits at third in that division, and while he's winning, he just can't seem to make a move there. So that's why I do focus on that.
So speaking of that, in your division, did 2 of you guys get out of that division, or is that going to be a one team show there?
Gosh, I mean, with the trajectory of the way we're going right now, and again, like I did just have my highest scoring output of the season. So yeah, and
I forgot your trophy, Scott. I meant to bring him a trophy for that, but
it's all right. I'm sure it was going to be a nice one,
that
but
would have been real nice.
but Scott's in a much better position than I am. I don't know. I just don't know. I'd say it's 50-50 with me if I can be a wild card team right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot to go on there. Obviously, you got to play in your division, but you would think most of the time 2 out of every division is going to be it, but you never know. 3 out of 1 could happen.
And I feel like I'm the same way that I just talked about too. I feel like I'm losing those 2 games with the Battle Busters and I mean he's in my division, but I mean those 5-3 teams are that's
Those are going to be the ones that get you in there at the end. So crazy this week going over to power rankings now.
This is
We actually agreed on something for a change.
wow. The craziest thing is I think it's unanimous because I think for the most part ESPN's right there with us.
Yeah. It just kind of shows you how things are just kind of panning out. Now, obviously, power rankings are week to week. We kind of take a little bit of bye weeks into it. If the injuries really affect it, a bye week shouldn't. I mean, some guys will lose because of those byes.
So if I guess because I'm noticing the difference in how ESPN does it, and they're so responsive to week scoring.
Yeah.
And teams are moving 5 and 6 places in any given week. So I'm going to ask you specifically, what does your power ranking mean to you? And then I'll tell you what my power ranking means to me.
So my power ranking is how I see almost like a college football ranking. Like, hey, this is the number 1 team. If we were going to seed, that's how I'm looking at it. Not necessarily off a record, but this is how I see the teams on how I feel is the best team, the second best team in the league. And that's not week to week. That's just
The overall body of work.
Yeah.
To me, the way I do my power rankings is the Super Bowl ladder
right.
in my head. It is what team do I feel like has the roster to win a championship.
Yeah.
So it's not about, are you a playoff team? It is, in my opinion, it is number 1 team is who I feel like is going to be the champion.
Yep.
Right now, I feel like that's still I know ball.
Yeah, and he's kind of been there most of the year. I think pretty much all year, hasn't he? His lineup is dangerous. I got some notes on him on this game later that's kind of interesting, but it seems like when he does have that guy have that bad week, somebody else on his team just has that boom week.
I know. It's somebody that's kind of unexpected, maybe. Yeah. So he does have a pretty impressive roster, and it brings me to my next point. And I got Warden up in the 2 spot. And I think so guys, again, we've already hashed this out. We are pretty much in agreement up and down
Yeah,
here.
this is the first time ever for us.
Yes. So we have the Warden up in the 2 spot. And for me, the reason I didn't elevate him into the 1 spot, and on a side note, I just want to talk about the fact that I didn't even notice that last week ESPN had Warden as 1 and dropped him to 2 this week. And put I know Ball back up in the 1 spot. So for me, I still got the Warden in the 2 spot, and I'll tell you why. Go on the app. They're playing each other this week. They have a side-by-sides of rosters, and to me, it's a no-brainer who the number 1 team is when you look at those rosters side by side.
Yeah, when you look at the roster side by side, and you just pick which one of the 2 you would want.
Yes.
If you were brand new to the league and say, hey, I got to pick one of these 2 teams, which one would you pick?
Yeah. So that was how I kind of differentiated between the 1 and 2. That drops you down to 3. I had to take that win for the Warden into account. We're past the halfway point of the season. You were only out maybe Judkins on a bye. I feel like he had a T. Higgins
Well, I had
bye.
Baker and-
Yeah, or in Baker, you're right. So I mean, I did take that into account.
Yeah.
But I do feel like with the body of work of his scoring, the trajectory, that's a couple, 3 out of the last 4 weeks, I think maybe some rough weeks for you.
Yeah, and actually, to be truthful with you, I have that gap between me and Big Fish being just really tight.
Yeah.
More so than me and Morrison.
Yeah.
Because, with his running backs, it's kind of come on here recently. Scatabo goes down, Rico just pops right in and took over. Obviously, his 2 wideouts playing great. So I still got him kind of right there with me.
I mean, he
And
is
that's,
getting close.
and that's almost 3A and 3B right now with me.
So I do have an A and a B on this list. It's not there for me. And I look at my game against Big Fish last week. I took him to the wire. I feel like I could have and maybe should have beat him. So I feel like he's beatable. When I look at you, when I look at myself going up against you, I don't feel like I can beat that team.
Well,
So
I mean,
when Rasheed Rice is in there.
yeah. Moving on down from there, I think we got Twin Bowers next. And
Yeah.
Twin Bowers actually gets his Bowers back.
And moving up, boy, did he come back.
Yes.
My goodness, 43, I think, is what that
Big
final
time,
tally was
big
for
time.
Bowers. And that, I mean, he needed every bit of it because Marsh Monsters actually had a really good game.
Yeah, so March Monsters could have, there's no way he could have actually won that
Yeah.
game if he'd have played it right. Obviously, it was kind of some far-fetched plays,
Right.
but it could have been done. So it wasn't that he just kind of skated through in that game by any
Yeah.
means.
So, I mean, I've been high on Twin Bowers, and I think the power rankings are finally starting to justify just about where I feel like he is, and this is about where I envision him to be. Again, when we get to the playoffs, anything can happen. So that's where he's at. And I got bedtime and me, and that's my A and B.
Yeah.
I feel like it's me and him going to be fighting for that last spot, the way it sits right now.
I just think his whole body of work, he's been a better scorer
Yes, week to week.
week to week.
Yep, I agree.
That's kind of why I got him ahead of you right here.
Yeah, and I'm the same way, but I feel
And-
like he's trending down. I feel like I'm either leveling out and maybe rising a little.
Yeah, and what you got to do each week, I mean, even just because of all the injury you got to go through and just trying to figure out how to put a lineup together.
Yeah, it's getting tough, man. I mean, and just when Chase Brown's starting to find his groove, I dropped, he drops his bye week on me this week, so.
Normally how it works.
Yeah, so that's where I got me, and then I also can kind of put JJ's right there as a C.
Yeah, he's kind of right in there behind you guys. And if you really look, he's actually scored a lot of points this year.
He has scored a lot of points, but he has a glare. We've talked
The
about.
reason why he's down where he is below you guys is his running backs.
Can we-
I don't know that he even has running backs to play this week.
Who's in his number 1 spot, Jason? Who's in the number 1 RB spot for Justin Jefferson?
I don't even know who it is.
Kenneth Gainwell. We talk about him on every episode, and now he's elevated to the RB1 for Justin.
But it's still like, hey, and I know he's actively,
I know
because he's
he's
hitting
trying.
me up. I mean, he's working at it. It's just,
But what he's got right now is exactly why he's landed in the 8th spot.
and I think he is starting to realize that's the big glaring hole in his lineup. And he almost has to start overpaying to correct some of these problems. Because like we've talked about before, there's only so many running backs in the league. And when 3 or 4 teams are loaded with them,
Yeah,
it makes it tough for him to kind of put that. Well, you're the same with your
Yeah,
running back. It's just
yeah.
hard to put it back together.
it is. And so what, what we're going to really start to be having these conversations going on with, your individual selves is at what point is your season over?
Right.
And what are you going to do? Because I was actually having a discussion outside of our group chat with Team Johnson today. And, he's kind of talking about what he might be willing to do at the end of his season, trying to develop some sort of keepers for next year. So I'm assuming there's going to be something, that's going to happen here to shake out. As far as the rest of the power rankings, if you guys want us to talk about you and you're on the bottom of that list, you're probably going to need to get up there.
Yeah, I'm gonna do some more work.
You're not in, I mean, we talked about probably one or two spots too many, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, we should probably almost start limiting that to the top 5 or 6 or,
So-
top 6 is kind of your playoff. So
Yeah, I do want to just give a little shout out that Marsh Monstrous is moving up forward for finally.
yeah, well, who would have thought that?
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of good things, so that's all I'm gonna say about that. We'll talk about his specifics as we get into that. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we're at. It'll be interesting to see how this shakes out. Keep in mind, one last thing, as you guys are wanting to kind of work straight those rosters, moving into the playoffs, thinking about next year. I understand that it is November 26th. So it was 3 weeks from yesterday, Wednesday, is our trade deadline. So just keep that in mind. And every trade does take 24 hours. So, all
Yes.
right.
Yeah,
That's
keep
power rankings, guys. Talk about standings a little bit. Guys, it's really going to start heating up here. We'll talk about more of that as we get into the individual contests.
Got a little new one for you here.
Shit.
I'm gonna throw the curveball at you. This week's question, I've got nobody putting anything on the comment board, so the questions are not just gonna be directed straight to you, and not so much of a question this time, but we're gonna play a little game.
Let's play.
We're gonna rank these 5 fantasy football players without knowing who's next.
So is it 1 through 5? Okay.
So I got 5 names I'm going through at you.
You already have the names?
I have the names written down.
Okay.
You got to rank them 1 through 5, not knowing who's next. First one on the list, Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase. I'm going to put Jamar Chase. Gosh, he's so elite. But you're starting to see the humanity in him and Justin Jefferson. I'm going to put him at 3.
All right, Justin Jefferson.
Very good.
Glad you brought him up.
And again, he's right there. I do have him. In my opinion, he's still a little bit better than Chase. I don't know why. I like him.
Fantasy wise, is it?
I don't. No, probably not. You're right.
I said fantasy football wise.
With McCarthy.
You got to think about how many points
We
there.
got no body of work with that quarterback. I think they'd have been better off if they kept Darnold. I'm gonna put Jettis at 4.
Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey's gonna be number 1.
Egbuka.
Egbuka.
That name was coming out.
I mean, gosh, I can't. He's
got
got to
or
be
high?
5. I cannot say he's over Jettis in a rookie season.
You did well on this one because the last one's JT.
Oh, number 2.
There you go.
That's
You did well.
killed it, dude.
So
Yeah.
he killed it. I think you did well on that one. So fun little game there. He did well on it. I'll find something new for you next week.
Sounds good, man. I look forward to it. Bring that trivia too, because I'm all about it.
Yeah, we get you.
Stick around, guys.
When summertime hits, I think of cookouts and county fairs. Of course, I'm reminded of one of my favorite foods as well, corn on the cob. And what's a good cob without butter? Allow me to introduce you to Butt Lover. This handy new gadget will leave your cob oozing that creamy goodness we all love. Load it, rub it, and enjoy. Butt Lover, on a shelf near you.
All right. Hope you enjoyed that word from our new sponsor. Always nice when we get a little sponsor for the show, huh?
Oh, yeah. Especially those good ones.
Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Now we're going to go ahead and do our review from last week. We got the first game of the week. What you got?
Marsh Montrose versus Twin Bowers. Actually, an interesting game. It turned out to be a pretty good game. We all picked it to kind of be a blowout.
Yeah, I think we all said 20 plus.
Yeah.
Turned out to be one of the games.
Marsh Montrose put up a big game, pulls out the Monongai play. Both Bears on his team was his big scorers.
Yeah, that Monongai move, I want to give Mark kudos for that because it not only was it obviously the huge hit on the week, but the courage that it took to make that move and sit R.J. Harvey.
Right.
Do you remember R.J. Harvey scored 25 points the week before, and he pulls him out? So I thought that was just a ballsy move.
Right, definitely was a big move, seeing Swift was down and going and making that grab and getting him in the lineup. Twin Bowers gets his Bowers back, 43 big points. Not only that, the other big thing Twin Bowers did, he gets another 43 out of his running back position defense. So,
I think he's just been kind of
Yeah.
riding a pretty hot streak, Jamie Warren.
but a little insight into some of the, to the rosters a little bit. I got a little interesting fact
This
for you
is
for
fun.
Marcus
I'll-
Monstrous.
Let's pay attention.
Okay, we go to draft day. Marcus Montrose keeps May as his keeper. Great quarterback.
He caught a lot of shit for that, by the way.
Week 2, he gets on the waiver wires, picks up Danny Jones. Another great move. And ever since then, who's been in his lineup?
I'm assuming it's Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones has been in that lineup every week. Here's
Every
your
game?
interesting nugget on that. In 7 of the 9 weeks of the season, May has outscored Jones. And since week 2, if you take week 1 where he was on waiver wires out of it,
Oh, is that when you got him?
we got him in week 2 because he got him off the waiver wire. Jones has only beat him one time,
One game,
one game,
and yet he rolls him out there every week.
and he was his keeper.
Golly. Would that have made a difference in that
I
game?
believe I kind of made this mention before. You got 2 of the top quarterbacks in the league. Try to make a move. I get this is a tough league to make moves in. We talk about it all the time. Shop some of your commodity guys. Just let people know who's available. Maybe it'll help.
Yeah.
So on the other side, now you talk about Drew's team a lot. Here's how I view Drew's team. He is a very good team, and he wants to be elite. I think he's that move away. He's got commodity sitting there. He's got 3 receivers that can only fit into 2 spots because CD Lamb's a given every week when he's out there. Find a way, put them out there, package 2 of those receivers up, upgrade one position spot just a little bit, whether it's 2 receivers or 1 receiver in Warren, but make one little upgrade to that. You can't play all of them in the Super Bowl. You can't play all of them. Somebody's got to be on that bench. If you go from having those guys just sitting there on your bench to finding a way to package them up and improve one little spot, you go from a very good team to an elite team. That puts you up there with fighting with Braden as one of the top teams. I think he's just that small move away.
So
Obviously, it's very, very tough in this league to make that move.
yeah, I think we're just at opposite ends of the spectrum on this, and me and Drew actually had this discussion at home last night or the night before, whatever day it was when he sent out who was all available. When I seen him when I got home that night, I talked to him about. I think the complete opposite. I think he just should sit. I mean, again, like everybody plays their fantasy their own way. Obviously, you and I look at it a little bit differently. I think he has a good problem. I think he has a good problem that insures from the problem that we've all been dealing with. I think he's kind of got an insurance policy there. So yeah, I mean, we're just going to be kind of at odds on how he should kind of develop that roster the rest of the way, and that's for us. That's his problem.
Yeah, it is.
Going back to the win itself, what a great win for Drew. I mean,
Hey, anytime you win, you got over that 120 threshold. Mark gets over that 120.
and that's
threshold.
why I call it a great win, because it was a win he had to have, and it was a win where he was pushed to the limit.
Yeah, because I think if he would have not held on to that one, that would have set him back and made it difficult for him.
Well, I mean, like, gosh, how important was Bowers 43?
Yeah.
When you really look back.
And didn't that thing go into overtime?
Yeah.
And he gets that touchdown.
That's what I mean.
To kind of get that too. So how big was that?
Yeah, I mean, mine didn't become as fruitful, but the same kind of thing with my lovely
Yeah.
touchdown there late. But anyway, good win.
Moving on.
All right, I got game up the big battle of the brothers last week, and that was my
The other
upset.
brothers.
Yeah, the other brothers. You're right. JJ's Masterclass versus Battle Buster. Final score there: Battle Buster winning 118-78. And this was actually turned out to be a blowout, and I didn't expect it to be a blowout, but it did go the way I anticipated it to go. In Battle Buster pulling that out again, I seen the writing on the wall with the trouble of Justin Jefferson's Masterclass in that running back position.
Yeah, and then we've talked about it every week.
I mean, extensively. And we're seeing it now. I mean, we joked about it earlier. He's got Kenneth Gainwell not elevated into that number 1%. Dude, that's a second running back on his,
On their team,
yeah, and that's,
RB2 on
and
the
that's your
team.
best right now?
Yeah.
I don't think it's his best. There might be a
Swift is right now,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
that's his running back too,
Right.
but
I
still,
think that was last week because of a bye or whatever it was, an injury.
yeah, an injury. But still, even on the other side, Kamara having just that down year.
Have we talked about that too? It's like Gainwell and Kamara seem to be the guys that come up episode after episode. And I mean, Kamara's doing nothing but proving us right every week. It might be the end of the line for him.
Yeah, right.
Maybe he needs a change of scenery.
Yeah, and it's not just Kamara. I think Battle Buster drafted his team in 2023 and he's trying to play it today. I mean, he's got Kamara, he's got Nico Collins, he's got Laporta, he's got
Philip Rivers
Debo,
probably buried in that.
he got
roster somewhere.
Debo. If you look at all those guys, 2023 career years for all
Dude, he
those
had a
guys.
championship. He had a championship squad 2 years ago.
Yes, he did.
That's
Crazy how that
hilarious.
worked out.
Isn't it funny?
Might want to update them guys though.
Right. But he does have a guy who he's only top 12 in quarterback, which is kind of odd because you feel like he's doing better.
Yeah.
But gosh, did you watch any of that game with Seattle last week and Sam Darnold?
He
They
is,
looked
he
good.
is kind of flinging it around.
Man, they look, dude, the whole first half without the ball
Right.
touching the floor.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I feel like he's maybe jumping Justin Jefferson's masterclass at this point as far as power rankings go, because he at least has a little bit of, I talked about his running backs earlier in the season and they're kind of leveled out a little bit. He got a win with a 1 from Kamara.
Yeah, you'd think if he just starts to get a little bit more out of Kamara, how good he could be.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah,
that was a big piece of his lineup.
Yeah, and that's a 118 still with a 1 from that, one of his best running backs. So, as far as JJ's go, obviously he's got those running back issues. I still go back to the sitting Cortland Sutton, and you're sitting a top 15 receiver, and the numbers don't add up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's you could play 3 receivers per team if you wanted to. You got 12. I mean, like, yeah, he's got number 2 receiving numbers, and yet he doesn't even make a flex hardly ever.
Yeah, you'll figure that out. I mean,
We talked about he's kind of playing his way down that power rankings, and I kind
and
of
on the other side of that, JJ, which is his star P, he's only 10th in the league. So
yeah, and he's
Sutton's just right there on his heels, and
yeah. I mean, I feel like the move that Minnesota made and letting Darnold walk out the door and turning it over to JJ McCarthy, I feel like is a move that's going to pay off, but it's going to probably take a year and a half,
yeah,
and that's not good if you're a fantasy football fan that owns Justin Jefferson. So with Justin Jefferson, real quick, I just want to talk about something that you and I talked about off camera real fast. The fact that he doesn't play Cortland Sutton.
mm-hmm.
So when you look at the starting lineup and that player's not there, it's like you look at that roster and it's like he really didn't improve it from what Vanessa had last year.
No, it's pretty much.
It was built around Justin Jefferson and Josh Allen, and he didn't really build much around it.
Yep.
So do better.
Yep.
Good win for Battle, 118-78. I called the upset of the week. We're gonna
Nice
move.
job.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. You guys got that one wrong. JJ's, I feel like is just dropping that board. I mean, he's got the roster that. I mean, he's got a couple players that maybe he can make some noise, but gosh, he's gonna have to shake
Yeah,
them.
we've got a lot of work there.
Yeah.
He's not one to move away.
We'll be right back. No, he's a couple moves right. We'll be right back. We'll move on to the next 2 games. All right, we are back. Next game up on the tab from last week. Bedtime versus Beats by Ray. Bedtime getting the win there, 116-109. I think this one kind of went about the way we thought.
Another close one though.
I think I remember, if I remember right, I had it down when I picked the game last week that it was going to be a close game, and I had it going down the list to the flex position. And as I look over those numbers, I talked about Marvin Harrison. I felt like it was a good week to play him, a good matchup, and he rewarded Downey for playing him in that flex position with 22 points. And in the flex to flex comparison, it was a +7 for Bedtime over Beats by Ray. He ends up winning by 7.
Yeah, I think what did Beats in though was, with the guy who's kind of been a star for him earlier in the season, Odunze, putting up the goose egg.
And those goose eggs, I mean, they're so hard to wrap your head around when they happen because, Ferguson had one a couple weeks ago, the number 1 tight end we had talked about. So you obviously you don't expect those, but man, in a close game like that, that one's really got to hurt because that, I think, ultimately eliminates Beats by Ray.
Yeah, I think the other thing he's got is just fighting that who do you play in Seattle. I mean, one guy will do something every now and then, and they both seem to kind of contribute. But how you kind of draft your team this year, you're stuck with the two guys.
And it kind of makes me wonder, like at one point I talked about, do you just roll them both out there? But it's kind of starting to look like you just throw them both on the bench as a kind of spot filler at this point and just roll out Aaron Jones, because it does look like as he came back, he just kind of rolled right back
He
in.
did actually get a little dinged up in the game
Did
too,
he?
so I'm sure it's something that he'll still be playing through.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe getting him back will solve a lot of those problems.
Sure. And then on the other side, let's really focus on bedtime here, because he's in the playoff mix. He's in a good position here, and I have some concerns. With the injury to Jaden Daniels, unfortunate.
Yep. Especially I think now you got to go pick up McCarthy to put in there, and really kind of that there's not much to choose from there.
Yeah.
So
Maybe you'd like to see him maybe look to trade there when you got Danny
Yeah.
Dimes. Danny Dimes sitting on somebody's roster, or Drake May.
yeah, or even with Johnson, he's got two solid quarterbacks
Yeah.
there. So
Dan's got a couple as well with
Yeah.
Goff, and so yeah, I mean, a little odd that he didn't research that.
I will say one thing I do like about bedtime. Saquon come back a little bit a couple weeks ago. If he continues to improve on the year, Jacobs, I know you've been down on him every year, all this year, but he's been phenomenal this year. He scored 15 or more every game of the years. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what you
so
want
he's
out of
kind of
running back,
doing,
too.
yeah, he's kind of doing a prove it year for
Yeah.
me, and like where he's proven it to me. I have been hard on him. I felt like this is the time that he typically starts to peter out.
And then he still has Javonte Williams playing that flex.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that kind of will help hide some of his woes a little bit there with the receivers.
I'm a little concerned about Zay Flowers. I think he was drafted as an upper end number one, and I don't think those numbers are, when I say upper end, I'm not talking about
Yeah,
the top tier. I'm talking about
for his team, he's
drafting,
yeah.
because most of our top tier receivers were kept. And I questioned it. I held my tongue because Lamar's been injured.
Mhm.
I wanted to see how he looked coming back with Lamar at the quarterback. Lamar put up 40 points.
Well, it's just one of those things that team is designed to move the ball around, obviously run with Henry and Lamar. I mean, they got two solid tight ends, a couple guys out there out wide. So
And I'm starting to get concerned about just the wide receivers in general. You had a Quentin Johnson 0 2 weeks ago, single digits from Ladd and Keenan Allen
Mhm.
this past week,
And
a mediocre from Gadsden.
not even that, you've seen Ladd's targets, he went from 10, 15, and then back down to about 6.
A little concerning if I'm bedtime about what my future is, and I'm also holding 3 tight.
I will say, though, I do value Marvin a little higher than this point in the season, just because I think Brissett's a better quarterback throwing the ball to Marvin than what Murray was.
But yeah, big win for bedtime there. Keeping him right. The guys behind him where they need to be. I mean, you keep knocking down wins in your current position, really nobody can
Wins
judge.
or wins, man.
Yeah. So
All right, we'll move on to Johnson versus I Know Ball. I Know Ball puts up another big number again. I actually did a little stat looking a little bit ago. He has 130 points more than the second highest scoring team. When we talk about a team scoring 120 is a good week, he's a whole week better than the rest of the league right now on points scored. But definitely a big win from him. Johnson, 10 out of Mahomes, nothing there.
no,
Yeah.
I mean, like,
For a guy that's kind of been there all year for him and playing well, gets 10 out of him.
so let's just talk about Mahomes for just a second. When they're struggling, he's putting the team on his back. He fantasy scores.
Yeah.
When they start rocking and rolling, they spread the ball out so much.
Right.
He's not really a factor. I mean, he's a factor on the field in the NFL game, but I'm saying fantasy wise, he's not that factor whenever they're rocking and rolling.
But at the end of the day, he's still quarterback 1, quarterback 2 at the end of the season, and is right now.
Yeah.
You expect more from quarterback 1 or 2
Right.
at 10. But everybody every season has those turf games. So,
Yeah.
but the other thing for Johnson, did he find somebody in London?
I like London. I've gotten to watch him a couple times. Dude is a big physical receiver.
other than being hurt, so his past 5 games, he's put up a 26, a 32, a 39, and then he had an 8 in the game he got hurt in and sat out a game.
Now, when you see it, like he is impressive because he makes the contested catches. He can break tackle. He gets run after catch, and he's
Yeah.
physical. So there's a lot to like. I like London. I've been kind of waiting for it to, we've been waiting on certain receivers to kind
Yeah.
of take off, and we don't really credit the
Who's
ones
going to
who
be the
actually
next one
do.
that's going to move
So
up?
I'm glad you kind of pointed out the fact that London's.
So
doing
yeah, I
this.
think he might have found a guy that he might look into keeping there. Looking down at his roster, like he's going to have some decisions to make. Maybe that's a guy he keeps an eye on and latches onto going forward.
Yeah, I mean, it is going to be very interesting now that with the way this year has shook out. It's going to be interesting to see if people change their tactics and how they approach keepers.
I'm sure there'll be a few teams that kind of figure some things out. We'll be
Maybe take a guy who's a little more hopeful,
more upside.
instead of a guy who's just been
Crusty
the
old
guy.
veteran.
And it's just like we talked about with Battle Buster and drafting a team 3 years ago. I mean, it is easy to keep just.
Maybe that's one thing we should in one of our shows. Let's just go back and review all the keepers from this year's draft and just see which ones have panned out.
Yeah,
You know?
that'd be a great show.
Yeah,
that might be our first episode after the season.
There we go. We got some ideas coming out
Way
there.
work. That's teamwork. Right
But
there.
moving over to Ino Ball, another big performance. This guy's got his team's just loaded.
It's loaded when it's loaded, but there's nothing after it.
Well, I mean, it seems like no matter what happens, there's somebody stepping up. I mean, he's got running back 2 overall, receiver 2 overall, receiver 9 overall, receiver 15 overall, the top tight end overall, the second best defense overall, and that doesn't even include Lamar Jackson and AJ Brown.
So, you know why I feel like there's concern there? I've felt it, but I'm starting to sense that he feels it too because I'm getting word that he is offering massive trades.
He is. I can actually vouch for that. I know he's being pretty active, and he's not just trying to do something small. He's trying to make a splash.
Yeah.
He's out there looking for it. Obviously, we talk about trading in this league is difficult.
It really is.
But he gets into Higgins this year, and he throws up that 35. I mean, it's just like
I mean, with Braden, I'm dead set that he is the regular season champion.
Yeah.
I'm not concerned about that. My concerns are in the playoffs. I don't need to revisit that right now. He's locked and loaded to get there.
yeah. But he basically makes you earn it to beat him.
Yeah.
I mean, will he have a dud game? Yeah, he'll have probably one. But overall, he's gonna make you work to get it.
Still though, you're right, dude. He's one on the power rankings of both of our lists for a reason.
Yeah.
And he pretty much
Yeah,
backs it up week in, week out.
Yeah, you go get Lamar back on top of that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He found a way to stay in that 1 to 2 range without Lamar.
Yeah, like I said, I went down that list of all the top guys he got, and then he brings Lamar back, who's averaging 24 points a game.
I think with Lamar, I think we've got a little cloud on just how effective he is. Gosh, it was immediate. It was like Brock Bowers.
Yeah, definitely.
It was a good win though.
Yeah, great win.
We're back, guys. The last 2 games last week.
All right, we're back for the final 2 games. First one up is the Motorboaters put up an impressive loss against the Big Fish. I think the joke has been the best loss of the season so far.
He's the highest scoring loss of the season. Thought it was noteworthy.
But Motorboaters, you get big games from Herbert and Brown finally. Got to be happy about that. Finally shows up.
Well,
Adams been solid.
kind of throw a couple numbers at you real quick.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Herbert is the 3rd ranked quarterback in fantasy. Quietly, Chase Brown is either 14 or 16. I can't remember. I have it written down in my notes. But he's quietly up there around that 15 position.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's going to keep going the way, you know what I mean? So he's not having as bad a year as it probably seems like.
It seemed like, yeah.
Yeah.
But where you drafted him, you
I
definitely know
know.
where you got
Kept
him.
his ass, yeah. I was,
But on the other side, what you got out of Adams is, a lot of people started to think he was going to be written off for the year.
I had him last year. I didn't want him this year at all till see what he's doing here.
Yeah, but then you get the big play with Loveland.
Lucky, I mean, that was a kind of, I talked about last week and the fact that I probably would have played Andrews in that position with Lamar coming back. However, the reason I grabbed Loveland off the waiver wire is because I feel like the second half of the season they have to make an emphasis on getting him the ball.
Yeah, and they are starting to incorporate him into design plays just for him. Kind of like they do for Warren on the other side.
I did the same thing with Josh Downs where I didn't play him for like the first four. I didn't need to play him for like the first 4 or 5 weeks. Eventually it got to the point where it's like, he's due for a touchdown. I'm going to try to get him in there and take advantage of that. I was able to get advantage of his first touchdowns.
But definitely a good play there. I know when you really picked him up the week before, the Komet deal was down.
Yeah.
Komet was actually back in that game, but they still had a pretty good piece for him. So, but good wins good games out of those guys still just wasn't enough for you.
No, I mean, it's like, can you ever feel good after a loss? Not really, but it was my highest scoring game of the year. So
It was your
kinda.
high scoring, yeah. When you were in that 120 range the whole season, then get up to 140 finally. Big Fish though, getting a huge number out of Rico again. He's 34 this week. Looking back, his past 5 games, 129 total points in 5 games.
Yeah, so he pretty much put my foot right in my mouth because I was kind of expecting Chuba to kind of come back and kind of eat into his.
And the week before, it kind of started to go back that way, and then just Rico just took over on that. So it's kind of impressive what happened there. And
It sprang right to a winner, that's for sure.
one big thing I got to say about Big Dan is, I know we don't have anything like this, but right now, if we had a GM of the year, that's almost where I'm leaning at for this. He drafts Scadaboo, who ends up just kind of coming out of nowhere, blowing up. He gets this awful injury, and then Rico is just right there on his team. Picks up off the waiver wire and just fills right back in, keeps on rolling.
It's frustrating in the sense that we have been talking for weeks and weeks about teams needing to upgrade the running back position.
Look what he's done there. Definitely some nice moves he's made all throughout the season, and it's really paying off for him.
Yeah, I have him where he is. I don't feel like he's going to win the Super Bowl, but I feel like he's going to be in the playoffs.
It's just one of those things. It just goes to show no matter where you're at in the season, there's still hope. There's still things you can put together and still be a good team. But big win there for Big Fish. So
I mean, I don't feel like my season's over. It was a good win for him. I called myself. I got what I got out of myself. Rico Dowdle won him the game, and he put it right in my face because that's what I thought was going to be the difference.
Yep.
So, hats off to him.
Nice job, Dan. Moving on.
All right, we got the Warden versus Short Bus Driver.
Over here.
Yeah, big game there. 145 to 129. The Warden coming out on top. And this was kind of a fun one for a few different reasons. And I've kind of looked at this from a few different angles. But first off, do you have any kind of immediate takeaways from that game?
Not a whole lot. Is there a way? There's no way I could have won the game. I even looked at the numbers. There was a way I could tie.
But looking at some of those other numbers, I mean, again, when we talked about the segment last week and what I thought was going to be the difference maker in this game, I thought it was going to be Bam Knight. I thought he was in a good scenario.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they were going to thrust DeMarcado back into it.
Well,
So
I think
that kind of hurt.
I think it was just one of those games that they were going to throw them both out there and see who had the hot hand.
Yeah.
And it was just, which one got it. And apparently, DeMarcado got it that game.
Yeah. A little frustrating if you're short bus because you got, the week before with Bam Knight, and then you got Gibbs coming off a bye, right? Wasn't that coming off a bye?
I believe so. It was either coming off a bye or another poor performance right before that.
Okay, so you felt like everything was kind of geared up towards him, ready to kind of get back to being Jahmyr Gibbs, and man, he let you down in a big way. And I feel like
It seemed like that whole offense in general. I mean, when you look at the number of plays that were in there, I mean, Goff didn't have a whole lot of attempts.
yeah, I didn't feel like Amon-Ra was putting the pressure on me in that game.
Gibbs didn't have a whole lot of carries. Montgomery didn't have they just didn't have a whole lot of offense play. I think whatever the Vikings did to dictate that game is probably why they won that game even. Because they took that run and gun kind of offense just off the field.
Yeah, it's like, saying, keep the ball
I
out
mean,
of their hands.
I think you would never thought of Gibbs coming out of a game with 3 targets, 3 catches, 3 yards. I mean,
Yeah. But, so that, the frustrating side of it is, it was a game where you got good performances from your receivers.
yeah, that was one thing that I finally did get. Rice has been great since he's come back. Pierce, I kind of picked him up a few weeks back. I know you kind of noticed when I did it.
Yeah.
And obviously I was looking just for something, my team was just struggling on receivers as it was anyway. So I'm like, this is a home run hitter kind of guy. At least, maybe I'll get a touchdown every third game out of it.
Sure. So, moving over to the Warden side though, because that's, that was a huge statement for the Warden.
Yeah.
But I do want to give Scott a little, his running backs combined for 38.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say, that's
They did
Christian
really
McCaffrey numbers, but on his roster, 38 with those running backs, I would think he would take that every week.
well. I
and
mean,
twice on Sunday.
Ashan's been the past couple of years one of them top 8 guys, top 6 guys, kind of right there on that threshold. Obviously, everybody just thinks that Miami is going to. I mean, and they have kind of folded, but he's still putting up some kind of number. So
He is. I do worry about this. Is partly why I'm struggling with Sky on the your power rankings and just my overall view of where he can go, because I am down on his receiver room, and the fact that with Achane he has Waddle,
yeah.
Jekyll and Hyde type team, or Jekyll and Hyde type
Yeah,
team. That,
that'd be one of the things that I wonder that, when you're talking about going from good to great, like we was talking earlier, relying on a lot of Dolphins, relying on a lot of Jets. If you look at on his bench and everything like that, those aren't offenses that's just going to constantly put up big points. And when you got 4 or 5 guys, maybe even 6 guys that's on those 2 teams on your roster, that you got to rely on 1 or 2 of them. Hopefully
Yeah.
you get the right one every week.
and while I'm not saying Waddle's not doing anything, I'm a little down. I thought he was going to do more.
Yeah, you thought he'd be more to an upper echelon.
Yeah, I thought it would uptick him with the loss of Tyreek Hill. I'm not really seeing that.
But-
Whenever Scott's got to play Shakir in that flex position.
Yeah, but even at that, quarterback play comes a lot of that, and that quarterback ain't been doing very well this year at all.
True.
To anybody.
So speaking of the quarterback position, that's going to tie me right into my next point here, which was we got into the numbers as far as some normalcies that could have swayed the game in one way or the other, but really what broke the game open or made the game be what it was the double up essentially from Trevor Lawrence to Caleb Williams.
Yeah, well, in years past, Scott's one of those guys that I don't believe really rosters a backup quarterback, tight end, defense, kicker kind of stuff, and only goes and grabs him as needed. He went and got Caleb Williams, kept him on that bench, which normally I don't think Scott plays that
I
way.
think you're 100%.
I think he drafted Murray and think I better have an insurance policy up.
And I think that was a smart move because of the history with Kyler Murray and the fact that he's not going to play 18 games. Kind of what I talked about with Josh Jacobs, but he's actually doing it. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, great win though for the Warden dude, which is again elevated him to the number 2 spot in both of our power rankings and ESPN, who's hasn't dropping. But I got him right behind Braden. I got him better than you because he beat you. If I'm really breaking down rosters, I still think you could probably beat him this week. You know what I mean? It's a 50-50. It was a 1A and 1B,
Right.
or 2A, 2B. I have to give him the advantage because he beat you. So great win. My hat's off to Warden.
Great job.